Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to this week's Sofamanager Scottish football podcast. And this week we're going back to our roots a little bit, and I think we should live up to our title for once. So we're going to be talking a little bit about feng shui and how that affects the layout of your sofas. Being sofa manager, John, we should of course give some sofa management tips, don't you think?
I mean, if you want to use leather or fabric.
Well, that brings us to an interesting point. I think the softness of material. I mean, do you think that sofas should have TOG ratings much in the way that beds do?
Yes.
So there we go.
It's a great idea.
It is?
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of friends would be interested to hear about that. So we'll maybe get on depending on when we run out of things to talk about, inevitably. No, on the Scottish football side of things this week, we'll be talking news as usual, including the BT advert gate this week, a little bit about that, and Livingston being amongst the top teams in Europe for the first time in a while.
Ever.
Yes. We'll also give our views on this weekend's Betfred League Cup semi-finals as Moult steals all the glory there. Pun, pun, pun. We'll also look at the Scottish Premiership and Championships, and a wee feature on icons, the kind of FIFA legends for this year, and the kind of Scottish icons we'd like to see in the game and how they might play. Badly. And of course our predictions as usual. So alongside me as co-host as usual, it's Schwanjo Branjo, John Brown. Hello, John.
Hello.
Fresh back from his Newcastle trip.
Fresh isn't the word.
No. I don't think many of the Newcastle fans will be too fresh today after a 90th, well, akin to a 90th minute winner.
Aye, damn close anyway.
So that's very exciting, and of course myself, Paul Menzies. And if you enjoy what we do, follow us on all our social media channels. We've got Instagram, active Twitter pages, some clips on Facebook, and don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps us a lot.
Indeed.
So anyway, let's get straight on. So, first things first, the news. I need a jingle for that as well. We'll get to that.
Yeah, that's in the pipeline.
Yes. So the main news this week was, of course, BT Sports advert gate.
Adgate.
Yes. Sofamanager Twitter page all over this story. And describe to us a little bit what the advert was if people haven't seen it. I think everyone has at this point.
I would imagine so. It was, what was it? Hibernian
and Motherwell
versus Celtic and Rangers.
Celtic and Rangers! They made it look akin to there was an old firm derby happening with two other teams.
It was just separated over 2 days and give two
yes.
teams were involved.
So this got quite a lot of people unhappy. But some shots were fired. And it spurred some social media departments into some quite creative thinking, shall we say.
Aye, at least they could fire back. It was nice to see. I don't know what BT were thinking. I know they're desperate for high profile games like that. They're thinking of boost their ratings for the Scottish football games, but it was very disrespectful, in my opinion.
I think a crafty move. I mean, it got us all talking.
Everyone talking about it, yeah, you're right, but at the same time there's a level of kind of decency about it.
And they did kind of poke fun at themselves, kind of take it in their strides. If you saw, I think, the introduction coverage to the Hibernian Celtic match, it was Darryl Curry and Chris Sutton walking into Hampden with a massive Hibernian sign in like big bold lettering. So I like that kind of humorous side of things that they're bringing in a bit. Chris Sutton is showing a humorous side as well. I
mean, I get the impression that they weren't involved in the
advert.
That's been done by an office down in London.
Yeah,
no question.
So now got us all talking. Of course, the Hibs fired back with their get tickets now and the massive Hibernian sign they had. So no, I think a good kind of...
Oh, they didn't do enough to sell their tickets, that's for sure.
Oh well, yeah, we'll get onto that a little bit later. But yeah, good tip for tan. It's nice to see a bit of banter kind of bandied about it, and
it is.
I can understand because Rangers and Celtic are such a huge part of Scottish football.
Particularly for BT and what they have kind of contractual rights wise. All firm games for them are like gold dust, and it hurts a little bit to say, but that is the absolute definition of Scottish football, is that game.
Yeah,
to an outsider.
Not for hardcore people like ourselves.
No, not for the rest of Scottish football, because I mean, it's the Hibs Hearts derby on Tuesday night. Which you get a fair billing, but by no means is it attractive to your kind of typical English or Irish or Welsh punter. They'd much rather watch the Old Firm game.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the Irish contingent. You know, anything that's not Celtic or Rangers probably doesn't even feature.
English as well. I can't imagine an Edinburgh derby particularly tickles the taste buds. But
No.
you know, for guys up here, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good game.
Absolutely. And I'll have to commend them for their coverage as well. I think their coverage this season, I love especially the Scottish Football Extra and things.
Their actual coverage on the day, done by their kind of Scottish contingent, is fantastic. And they really talk up the whole of the game, well, certainly the whole of the Premiership, and they give a fair coverage to most teams at a reasonable time, usually Friday night games.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of good things going for them. This is a blip. I'm sure the London department will learn from it.
Or they'll love it because it was such a social media craze, I don't know.
In a negative fashion, though.
A negative viral, yeah.
So, it kind of rolls around once a year, I suppose. So, you never know.
You never know, So not all good there. I'm not convinced by their commentators quite yet, Rob McLean or the new guy that used to do the YouTube videos.
They're really struggling to replace Derek Ray.
Yeah.
Because even when you hear him doing like the kind of clips for last year, especially with like the aforementioned Edinburgh Derby and then the Aberdeen Celtic, it's all Derek Ray in the background.
Yeah.
And you're like, like good times.
Never be the same.
It'll not be the same. I can't take to the new guy.
It's like good old Ken on Strictly Come Dancing. How do you ever fill those shoes?
Aye.
We'll get there eventually, but no, thumbs up to BT. Maybe give them Old Firm games as a wee thank you next year. SPFL, just saying. So in other news this week, actually, just breaking news to a certain extent, is that charismatic knitwear enthusiast Ray McKinnon's just got the boot at Dundee United, it seems.
I'm surprised.
Well, I was going to ask, any surprise there?
Not surprised. In fact, I'm surprised it's taken quite as long as it has.
Well, he's got quite a good record. I think he's won just over 40 games and just over 70 played. Which in context doesn't look so bad, but I know Dundee United might have.
Performance-wise has been horrific.
Well, they're how far off St Mirren? 6-7 points?
6-7 points, 10 scored, 9 conceded.
Quite bad.
That would have been a week before. In fact, they didn't score at the weekend either. So, what did they? I can't remember.
No, 2-0 against Inverness.
Yes, that's correct. I could have made it 2-1 or 2-0. Nah, they've been pretty poor. They spent a lot of money as well for the 2 seasons they've been in the Championship and done nothing. Yeah,
I mean, last year they got that playoff berth. That we're so keen to do. And I think unlucky not to go up because
maybe
against Hamilton, it was a 50-50. It could have been either way. It just depended who scored. But yeah, this season kind of brought in a few you could argue Premiership calibre players.
They were Premiership calibre players.
Nobody in the Premiership wanted per se. And yeah, 2 big losses against Livingston and Inverness Cali. And I think they're looking at kind of 6-figure losses if they continue at this level for much longer.
Indeed, it puts them in a real financial sort of black hole if they stay down here much longer. In fact, the way things are going, even before the end of the season, something might happen. I don't think it will, but there's always that kind of rumour swirling about that money's tight. Good job they didn't suffer the fraud.
I know. I know.
Really bad.
Although Hamilton obviously very fortunate in this Celtic windfall that came through last week. The £4 million, I think, from the Champions League that was shared out across all the...
Oh, they get that every year though.
Well, this was substantially larger.
Aye.
Than, I think akin to £400,000.
It's not bad.
So much, much larger than it usually was. So thumbs up there. But no, I thought Ray McKinnon was a good manager. I think you look at what happened to Wraith when he left. They were playoff contenders when he was there and then got relegated.
That's true.
The season he left. So I think a prominent manager, maybe good with a kind of underdog team.
A smaller team.
Yeah.
Certain clubs with certain managers. And the expectation on Dundee United didn't really quite suit what Ray McKinnon is as a manager.
Perhaps not.
I think that's his downfall. We'll find a club no bother.
I saw he was Brecon manager. I think was his first position.
Well, you never know. I kind of dropped back down to a kind of mid-table.
Maybe Wraith. I don't know who's doing the job there now. But
that's a good question.
So we'll wait and see. But who do you think could be the potential replacement?
Well, that's a good question. Do they go down another experienced route, or do they go to kind of a younger guy? We were talking off air about Scott McDonald.
I think Scott McDonald, you will pointed him out, could be a good shout. I think he's at that sort of stage he'd like to move into.
Player manager, yep.
Probably the more management side of things. So, I don't know who'd be in line for caretaker and things like that at the moment. So we'll
sure. And you've got other guys like Billy Dodds, who I'm sure used to play for Dundee United, probably in the early 2000s.
He's kind of shied away from management positions in recent times.
A little bit. It's more kind of assistant roles. Jim McIntyre would be an interesting fit.
Experienced manager at that level.
Hasn't been there for a good number of years though. A lot of time's been spent in the Premiership. It's a bit of an adjustment coming back down, but you're managing a Premier League sized club, so
essentially
I don't know how they would cope in that regard. It's a crucial point though.
Yeah,
that could really make or break their season if they get it right or wrong.
So you don't think they'll maybe steal, the likes of maybe Jack Ross from St Mirren, or even the Livingston manager who got manager of the month last month?
Maybe Livingston's manager, but I can't see Jack Ross leaving St Mirren. I think they're in too good a position at the moment to go up.
I guess you could argue similar sized clubs at the moment, really.
At the moment, definitely.
So no, we'll wait with interest.
Indeed.
That's sad to see him go. I always liked him. I thought he was quite funny.
Nah, I couldn't take him.
Aye. In other news this week, we had Aston Villa sniffing around Aberdeen's shot stopper Joe Lewis. Quite interesting. He's 30 years old now. Signed a long-term deal, so I wouldn't grudge him the move. But it'd
be a good payday.
Be a good payday. I think you look at Michael McGovern, who had quite good times up in Scotland and now just benches for Norwich.
Aye.
But will get substantially more.
We're talking about 8-10 grand a week.
Exactly. So, we'll wait and see. But it's interesting that, our players starting to do well and big English teams come and call him, which is good. I know last season, and I remember being bemused that Crystal Palace were looking at Louis Moult. And now I can kind of see why. Kind of see why.
For sure.
So wait and see there. We've also got another player possibly on the move or out the door. Kenny Miller's been in some, or his agent's been in some talks with the directors at Rangers.
He's been in a fight with a Portuguese man of war.
Well, I mean,
allegedly.
Sitting in the stands there today, brought back from playing with the youth team. The youth team themselves have a bizarre strategy of just playing whoever and whenever, wherever.
In the 20s league. But that's a Project Brave tactical move.
It's kind of bizarre. I actually watched some of the Celtic under-20s play Bayern Munich in that UEFA
under-20s Champions League types.
5-3. Cracking game.
Is it?
And they weren't actually that bad. The 5-3 scoreline made it seem worse than it was. But then I saw that they played Bayern Munich at the Munich training centre.
Sure.
It's a glorious
5-star
youth
facilities.
stadium. It wasn't a big stadium. And then I saw on Instagram the other day that they'll be playing. Do you know where they'll be playing the reverse fixture?
Livingston. No, they'll be playing at Morton.
Yeah, they're playing at Capello. So Munich, for this split new amazing facility, are going to flipping Capello in the middle of the week, which isn't even that close to Glasgow. It's a good 10-15 minutes out.
No, Celtic always play their under-20s games in
Greenock. So I think that could be a culture shock.
Coldest stadium in Britain by a long way.
Very cold. So good luck to Bayern there. But
oh dear.
Do you think Miller's time's up at Rangers, whether he wants it to be or not?
A weird way to look at this, and I was talking to my dad about it, is if you remove the fact that it's Kenny Miller, right, so you're just looking at a 37-year-old striker, I'm not surprised in the slightest that he's been sort of edged out in the first team squad. He's past it. And even his performances haven't been that great. I
mean, I haven't seen him so much this season. I think last season in particular, he saved them a lot of times.
Aye, but relying on a 36, 37-year-old is a recipe for disaster. It was a shame when they had Clint Hill at the back, and you're thinking, that's your best centre-back?
Well, I think a shame for Clint Hill as well, because apparently he would have, if Warburton was still there, he would have been there in a coaching role of some kind.
Every chance.
And he did a good service for Rangers. I think he deserved some with that, although he was only there for 2 years. So you think this kind of shoots Miller in the foot for that kind of role at the club, maybe? And is he a Rangers legend per se? Because he's...
that's two separate questions. Is he a Rangers legend? I don't know.
He's played
a lot of games, a lot of high-profile games, but...
Who's he played the most games for, club-wise, do you think?
It must be Rangers by now.
Don't think it is. I think it's Wolves.
He spent a season or so at Derby.
Don't think it's Derby.
But it won't be Derby. But
tell us if we're wrong.
It's got to be a toss-up between Rangers or Celtic.
See, the problem is he's played for Rangers in so many spells.
Aye.
But do you think there is a way back for him at the club, I guess, essentially?
If Caixinha's no longer the manager, yes. I don't think he'll come back to a playing role, but the feasibility of being a coach again, a sort of first-team coach, yes, that door is very much open for him. I wouldn't be surprised. Even an ambassador role.
Well, I think an ambassador especially.
But if this kind of feud with him and Caixinha is true, then there is an issue. We won't be seeing him for quite some time.
No, he's played 162 for Wolves and 100 for Rangers in his first spell, then 80 and then 30. So yes, he's
110.
But he's played for Celtic as well, so it's a funny one.
It's kind of Will Johnson effect.
So you don't think he would maybe go on and play for a Motherwell, a Kilmarnock?
I don't think he's got the... He won't drop down a level. It's almost like Scott McDonald.
Yeah. Well, he went to the Championship, so he did go down a level.
He hardly plays though.
He hardly plays well.
There isn't a level below anymore for Kenny Miller. That's him. He needs to accept defeat, and that's him.
I would like to see him do the victory tour and start playing for, Peterhead or Brecon, or just so we could see him. I don't know.
He might start his career at Stennismuir.
Well, there you go. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, Stennismuir.
You're not playing a plastic pitch.
No. Hate plastic pitches. But our last piece of news, Livingston, as of last weekend, before they got beat sadly by Dunfermline this week, were 10th in Europe, on form in the last 6 games. Unbelievably so. Just behind Shakhtar Donetsk and ahead of the stars such as Inter Milan and PSV Eindhoven. And mentioned in the same breath as Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City.
They've won 6 and 6, I think.
Aye, so a meteoric rise for Livingston this season. And congratulations to them, I suppose. It's all very exciting over there for the 8 people that are turning up.
You said that, not me. Normally it's me who's making Livingston jokes. It's really good. They've actually found a manager who understands a system of football for the Championship and has managed to apply it.
Absolutely.
God forbid, they might actually achieve something this season.
I think they are quite scared of achieving something there, because if they go up...
Well, there's no way they would cope.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lie, actually, because they must have the same kind of sort of pull for attendances that Hamilton have.
You would have hoped, but
1,400 people is like.
But it's a club that's trying to still build itself back up after the ruin.
Several rounds.
yes. But David Hopkin, the manager there, so I think he's done a fantastic job, and credit to them. They've overhauled Dundee United and probably cost Ray McKinnon his job in the last few weeks.
You never know, Stevie Hawking might get his job.
We'll wait and see.
We manager swap.
I know. So anyway, to the big fixtures of the weekend, and a competition we've covered comprehensively.
We have.
Throughout all stages, I believe.
Yeah, the group stage stuff.
I know, we
were there.
If you are interested, guys, Sofamanager does start up. It doesn't really stop in the summer per se. We keep going, and the Betfred Cup is kind of our bread and butter. So it's nice to kind of see it through to the semi-finals, where Celtic played Hibernian. Hibernian, I think the only group stage team left. Oh no, Motherwell would have been the group stages as well. Yep. Oh no, Rangers. No, lol. So
Rangers weren't in the groups.
I think the Celtic Hibs game. We'll start with first and foremost 4-2 to Celtic in the end.
Aye, seemed to be a hell of a game, especially the second half.
Yeah, I watched the first half, ironically.
Picked the poor half.
It was a bit of a shame we had to kind of jet off to the football, and it kind of clashes a little bit with that if you have to be away early at least. So Celtic not really showing much fatigue from the midweek game, I thought. They weren't looking too leggy.
I mean, I've only really seen the highlights, so I can't comment on the flow of the game, but the first 2 goals were very, very slack from Hibs. Slack
is exactly the word I used in my notes, actually.
It looks like they managed to peel off David Gray certainly for the second one. I forget who his defender was supposed to be for the first.
I think Ben Barker.
Perhaps Ben Barker. Keeping as well, probably could have saved both as well. He was kind of caught out.
I think they maybe regret going with, Laidlaw instead of Marciano. Just back from injury.
I don't understand that. If you've got a kind of consistent goalkeeper, why would you change it? I'll probably come on to that for the other game as well.
Oh, aye. Well, I think Marciano's been injured in recent weeks, and he was left with a decision. A few kind of puzzling starting decisions though, like Whittaker not in the team, quite an experienced guy, and then Boyle came in did quite well for the second half, who I panned last week for not being able to finish.
He has good days and bad days though. He's a very consistent player.
He goes off the boil, you might say. We're here all week, folks, thank you.
It's not just a summer.
So yeah, a few kind of puzzling starting decisions, but yeah, the full-backs and the keeper had to do. If you drop 2 goals to Celtic,
especially in that manner, you're not hiding to nothing.
If you're putting Mikael Lustig on a hat-trick,
you could have had a hat-trick. Was it just after the first goal, he kind of cut inside and took a wild shot that could have went anywhere.
Oh, yeah, there was a few.
But he's notorious for that, so...
A few reckless decisions, but Hibs fought back in the second half, the changes.
A penalty that never was. I think he won the ball.
Was this Boyata?
Boyata kind of nipped in as... I forget who the... maybe it was Boyle was running in. He clearly got the ball, but...
He went through the man.
He took the man, but it was after they'd got the ball. And it's a really awkward one, but it depends on what your take... Like, the laws of the game can always be kind of... Like,
see, I watched on YouTube this week, I think it was the 2003-2004, or around that era, Scottish League Cup final, Rangers against Celtic. It was like Larsson, Sutton, Lovenkrands, Rickson. I think Roman Voterus was in goals for Rangers. Barry Ferguson, Lorenzo Amoruso, this kind of era.
Aye.
And my goodness,
the tackles would have been phenomenal.
it was ridiculous.
Brilliant.
You know, I think 9 of them could have been sent off, and none of them were even getting booked. You know, for stuff like that. So it's a very, very different game.
Different time.
And I've seen a few challenges recently where guys have gone through folk, and you thought, I would kind of let that. I think Scotland's game, we should actually toughen up. We should weight the balls down, because we don't. There's not enough pace in the game up here, frankly. Weight the balls down and just make it a slog.
Let them battle out.
Yeah, get us back to Sunday League malarkey. But I think Stokes. Did Stokes get both of the goals for Hibs? Or?
No, Stokes got the penalty. It was a decent penalty, but I still don't think it was. And then it was back to 3-2. Dembele coming back into the game. So
Dembele looking pretty sharp.
That's a worrying sign for the whole of Scottish football. There is
Dembele.
Not only have they got Griffiths, who's blowing hot and cold, but they've got Dembele to fill in.
I think Griffiths could be having some bench time pretty soon.
I think that's why he's went off his game a wee bit, because he knows Dembele's back, and that's him back on the bench.
That's the thing, you know. Griffiths has hardly been putting them away recently.
Nah, he's looked really off it. He looks unfit.
Yeah, so the pressure maybe getting to him there. But good to see Dembele back on his form. I guess the other major talking point was the attendance. A lot of Rangers fans in particular panning, you know, the amount of seating that was left free, particularly in the Hibernian section.
There's a bit of an edge between Hibs and Rangers fans at the moment, but they've got a point. I don't know the ins and outs, and I know it was quite expensive for the ticket in itself, and trying to get through to Glasgow for a 12:30 kickoff. Hey, that's not easy. We've done it ourselves. It's a nightmare, and you didn't enjoy it as much.
Yeah, maybe taking things for granted after the cup win. They're just like, well, we'll just wait for the final, I suppose. I don't. Maybe,
and you're also playing Celtic, and you're effectively beaten before you even start.
Essentially, yes. Although they looked up to it until they lost the 2 goals. Things looked a bit shaky after that. But you know, 19,000 at the game against Aberdeen the week before, and there was markedly less people.
There was less people interested in the League Cup game as there was for the League games at the moment.
Which is very, very bizarre.
Incredibly, because you know for a fact there'll be a sellout on Tuesday for the Derby game.
I know.
But again, that's probably a bigger game
for the fans.
For Hibs than it is the League Cup semi.
Yeah. I don't know, a bit surprising. But in stark contrast to that was the other semi-final on Sunday.
The good one.
Nearly, I think, 50,000 people at this one. So nearly a full sellout there. Rangers getting bigger allocation. And
markedly as well.
Motherwell being quite sensible, but what a day out for the Motherwell fans, eh?
Absolutely, hey.
2-0 victory. Didn't deserve it at all. You know, Rangers, I thought, on top most of the game, but Louis Moult took his chances.
Yep.
Very, very well. And Rangers fans on Sunday left fuming, especially with the manager.
Well, for everything really. I don't know where to begin. We'll start with if we start with Moult's goals, because that is by far away the best thing to talk about. First goal really scrappy. Yeah,
a bit of a goal line scramble.
Rangers going to clear our lines. I think that was the kind of thing about that. Jack Alnwick, Rangers goalkeeper, who was in for the League Cup game, instead of following him, just refused to come and collect the ball.
Yeah,
which is a real disappointment from their point of view.
He didn't match, the performance of De Vries, for example, in the previous week for Celtic coming in there. But you know, it is a policy, isn't it, for some of these clubs that if you've got two established keepers, one of them needs game time.
Exactly.
But no, that the second goal, what a strike!
It's world class. There's no other way to describe it. If you want to win a semi-final, that is the goal you want to score.
I think we can probably agree by far and away our man of the match.
Yes, he stole the show. A lot of heart, a lot of dig about him.
Steele.
Steele, okay.
But, moulting hearts, as they say. If they play Hearts, I don't know.
Moulding goals.
Yes, so, well, there's something there. There's something there.
We'll work on it.
We'll
tag it.
Mould something together. Anyway, I was just so impressed with how much he kind of bullied Bruno Alves about. Just he was winning a lot off of him in the air and controlling it quite well. So it was a real kind of, his kind of multifaceted part of his game.
You could tell he had really got under the skin of Alves with the kick out as well, which has to be investigated.
Well, I mean, there's so many
things to actually look at.
But again, that was the one thing. It felt like a cup game. It had that.
There's a real edge about the whole thing.
I would describe it as like a heat. There was a fire, a passion, even.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm Bruno Tognoli it now. There was a real passion and kind of gusto to the game, and the fans, I think, really got behind that. And with pantomime horses such as Alfredo Morelos and all that, diving and ducking.
Peña, Candeas, the whole of the Rangers.
Well, although Candeas broke his nose. No.
I don't know, Herrera.
Did Herrera break his nose?
Herrera got his nose broken. That is another thing we should be talking about as well, is elbows. Right?
Knees and toes.
If you want to go down that route.
No.
I don't know what you're into, but...
Elbows are... a segment by John Brown. Give us it.
Elbows. If a guy's going up for, what was described by Sutton as leverage...
Sutton's a very different player. And again, if you go back to that, I think he was actually playing fullback in that League Cup final by the looks of things.
If you're jumping for a header and you're using leverage, where your hand's effectively in the face of your opponent, is that a foul? Is it a yellow card? Because the inconsistency in this is becoming a worry. Eventually somebody's going to get sent off for it and it's going to be unjustified.
I think when your elbow goes above your shoulder, things get tricky, because you can get leverage, I think, if your elbows are just below and facing forward.
Aye, I mean, it's really difficult to describe on radio how you would jump, but...
Sorry, it's a Europe song or something like that. Yeah, I mean, the way they do it,
they jump and they bring the elbow in.
Yeah, and they will put it towards the player.
They know the player's there.
Yes.
Especially for Herrera's broken nose, if it was Herrera. He intentionally led with the elbow there. You could see him physically go in for it.
Yeah.
I mean, the mess of his face and his shirt and everything was a...
And the referee didn't blow for 2 minutes.
Aye, that's a head knock. And he did that twice during the game.
See, I've seen that a lot recently at Scottish games, be it at a championship level, be it at a youth level, and be it at a premiership level. And it's not just the referee's responsibility. Surely there's a linesman there.
There's a linesman in the physio. There's nothing to stop the physio just running on purely because the guy's got a head knock. I mean, what if he really is knocked out and you're having to wait a minute or two for the ref to suddenly decide to stop
blood
the game?
streaming down the lad's face today.
He could have been out unconscious, bleeding. That's just not right. The fact that the ref or the linesman couldn't spot that is shocking.
I think that the ref had a difficult day today in that...
He didn't take control of it.
Yes. And I tell you, as a school teacher, I know the problem he has.
You've been dishing out punishment exercises left, right and centre.
Well, he did. He sent the two kids out of the classroom, into the stand.
One was loving life, one was too close to his chair.
One called up, ironically, former Celtic defender Stephen McManus to do the runaround up and down the stairs with the paper messages for him. Whilst Cassini, I think, was just baffled and confused by the full thing, and it didn't require a seat, funnily enough. Maybe he didn't want to sit too close to Billy King.
Well, did you see who was 6 or 7 seats along for him?
Who?
Dave King.
Oh, Dave King, sorry, aye.
Was sitting just long. Would you say Billy King?
I said Billy King, sorry. Was Billy King not an Inverness striker? Aye, okay, sorry.
I thought you were popping up playing the word Billy, but no.
No. I was just getting mixed up with another footballer, John, for goodness sake. Yeah.
If you want to go down that route, I think he was very embarrassed and his job is very much on the line.
Well, Ailey Barber came out and asked him straight up after the match, your position looks shaky.
She was asking some really stupid questions. Louis Moult had just had the game of his life.
Where are you moving?
Where are you going now, Louis?
Do you know what?
Get to.
I find some of these reporters actually downright rude. Because if someone came to me, after a day at work or whatever, and said, "You're on shaky ground. Are you gonna resign?" I'd be like,
"Beat it."
Yeah, it's very, very rude. And how would they feel if they You know, someone turned around and asked the same thing
after they'd done a rotten interview. Like,
I know.
They're very inconsiderate, and the questions they ask are very stupid. And at the same time, I kind of think, well, what would I ask instead? And I can't think of anything. So why bother?
You ask about the game. You ask what they thought about in that moment when Moult hit the strike.
Aye, how did it feel when 6 studs went up your thigh?
Well, I know. And that's the thing, everyone... There's this weird aura about Bruno Alves, right? About how experienced he is, and I think
there's a reason he was playing for Cagliari.
Well, I think he's beginning, that game especially today, has shown him up, and I think people need to take a good hard look at, you know, let's stop being starstruck here, what are we actually looking at? Mm-hmm. You know, is he much better than the likes of McRory, or, you know?
No, far from it. There's a real problem with that Rangers dressing room as well. There has to be at some point a divide between the Portuguese players and the rest. Mm-hmm. That'll come in eventually. Because in my opinion, the kind of foreign guys aren't performing. If you compare their kind of work rate and ability to Graham Dorrans, Ryan Jack.
Don't you dare say Ryan Jack.
He was hopeless as well, but
he was pretty bad.
Graham Dorrans is the real one that sticks out. If you can attract that kind of player, British player, why don't you go for more?
Well, you look at Peña. Has kind of started to come on form. Probably should have done better with some of his chances today.
Should have done so much better.
Morelos was just having a laugh.
He was wound up. I don't know what was going on in his head. But even though I look at Candias and I think you could be a good player, but you're just too ball greedy.
Yeah, he shows flashes sometimes. Dalcio we've not really seen at all.
Dalcio's disappeared. This Man City guy came on as a sub, did nothing.
Aye.
I don't know if they've just decided if Celtic can get Patrick Roberts, maybe we can get the equivalent. You know, I think even is it Hearts have got some guy off Man City as well?
Yeah, some double-barreled name.
Really, guys with loads of pace, and I think that's great on FIFA, but it doesn't really work in the real world.
I think it can work in combination with other things.
So you're going to have Chris Cadden 2 foot in you, it just doesn't work.
I guess we have to. Well, no. Before we move on from that, do you think if Caixinha leaves, it does become an impossible dressing room because the Latino boys?
Yes.
You know, if you had. You know, a Stuart McCall, an Ali McCoist, a Walter Smith come into that dressing room.
If you have a Rangers man walking through that door, it'll be hell to pay for. Mm-hmm. It just won't work. Mm-hmm. Even Denny McInnes, I think, will have a really hard time
dealing with
adjusting to that. You have a real problem there, and you've still got the Kenny Miller situation to sort out as well. You would have to come in and you would have to side. Are you going to go down? Are you going to side with Kenny Miller, or are you going to side with the kind of Bruno Alves? Because he's now captain.
Yes.
As well, which must piss off
Lee Wallace.
Who's
probably on his way out as well.
Aye, Danny Wilson if he's still there.
Oh.
All these kind of guys. So a new manager is going to have to really either keep his cards close to his chest and take a step back from it all, or he's going to have to really choose sides and go, I'm going to favour the Portuguese guys over Ryan Jack.
See, whilst
that's a tough choice.
Whilst I think it's been an improvement from last season, the way we describe it now, it sounds like a bit of a mess. And I think in commentary today, they're 2 points ahead of Motherwell. And if you think of the budget differential between those two teams, can I just say, huge credit to Motherwell, who we've spoken about before in terms of the fan ownership model, and how difficult it could be for them and how it could kind of send them into financial ruin. But it's working wonders as of the moment.
Really, really well. And having a kind of a fan ownership has allowed them to kind of
hold on to the people they want to hold on to.
They're seeing it in a football perspective rather than as a business.
Absolutely.
They've seen Louis Moulton and go, you know what, we'll take the season from you and we'll let you go on a free. And look where they've got. They've got to a League Cup final. They're looking at top 6.
I know.
And they'll be able to get the money in. They'll generate a lot of money to potentially replace him when he does leave. You'll hopefully get somebody that's the same kind of quality. Not enough clubs do that, and it's quite sad.
I have to commend their coaching structure as well. It was a good piece today on Sunday, of Stephen Craigan behind the scenes, and obviously Stephen Craigan is part of the coaching setup there, coaching the youth teams, and the facilities, whilst not brand new, look pretty decent. They're in there playing kind of darts with each other, looking pretty relaxed. Stephen Robinson's got a really kind of just a relaxed, comfortable atmosphere going there, and it's paying dividends, and they're really making use of their stars. Moult and Cadden, I think, make that team.
Absolutely.
And they're and I think that is the difference between a bottom 6 team and a top 6 team is one guy. You look at St Johnstone, last year it was Danny Swanson. This year it's Michael O'Halloran. You look at, I guess Partick last year, probably Liam Lindsay or something like that in the back line.
Aye, Dolan or Erskine.
So, in Scotland it just takes one or two guys, and, right now it's just clicking.
Absolutely.
So fair play to them. I think they're my stars of the season so far, and I hope you enjoy your day in November. Motherwell fans, I think it's well deserved.
I just hope it's not snowing for these.
It's global warming. We should be alright.
Rain.
But, and the big surprise, I guess, of the weekend it was. So
absolutely.
Well played to the rest of the strugglers that weren't, in these cup finals in the Premiership. We had Partick Thistle finally getting a victory. 2-1, and of course Aaron Archibald and came out and said nothing to the press. He just is
that quite get up you, I think.
Aye, I think so. He
quite right.
Needed to win under pressure. I think it was what could be described as a very lucky victory.
That's all you need.
Dundee were all over them. I mean, they could have won that game 5 or 6-0. Young boy Leach Smith kind of getting the opener. He looks very exciting, but missed a penalty and then 3 other pretty decent chances. So I think Neil McCann will be pretty dismayed. The Partick kind of turnaround came after some subs. Blair Spittle was on the bench, which I thought unusual.
Aye, it's taking the heat off him a wee bit.
But he's been one of their star players of late.
Aye.
But when he came on, seemed to make a difference, especially Miles Storey coming on as well for Connor Salmon, who...
hopeless.
I didn't really see in the game, and I would definitely pick someone like Miles Storey over Connor Salmon. So no, they got a couple of goals, and I think you need that when you're playing badly, just a wee lucky victory to kind of...
It'll spark them into life again.
Kickstart.
It'll put the fear of God into likes of Kilmarnock and Ross County again, but... Well, Partick, it's a good result. Maybe even Dundee.
This week, Partick play Hamilton.
Oh, fun.
In what is a now humongous fixture. Hamilton played Ross County at the weekend and lost, despite going ahead, which they've done a lot this season.
Aye, they can't hold on to
it. So Hamilton have now lost 6 on the bounce. And if they lose to Partick,
Canning could be the next to go.
But what do you do with that team?
Well, that's the biggest problem. It's only a matter of time before they get relegated.
I don't know. I think
you expect them to get relegated.
There is a good, and people always say, "Oh, you never play football at Hamilton." You look at the footballers they produce, like James McCarthy, Ali Crawford. Good footballers, good technical footballers.
Yeah.
So get this out of the head. It's a physical, kind of brutish. Although the defence, I think it's Xavier Thomas. He came out and lambasted today, saying he needs to do more. Because it was the last minute goal they conceded against Ross County.
Ooh, that's even worse.
Yeah, and it was Mickelson as well. I think with his first goal for Ross County.
Yes, right.
I know. So you never want to be handing goals to these type of people, but sadly they did. I thought I'm still yet to see a huge improvement from Ross County under Owen Coyle, but he seems to be playing a more crossing game with them, which is working quite well.
He'll be able to find out what their kind of strengths and weaknesses are pretty quickly. And that's as good as you can hope for until January. Because Roy McGregor will pump an absolute fortune out of them in January again.
Could they always come up with some quite interesting signings?
A couple of Dutch guys you've never heard of.
I know. So no, we'll wait and see. But that fixture this week's football is humongous. Hearts, who beat St Johnstone 1-0, 19,000 there at Murrayfield. Not much else to say about that game, to be honest. Not a classic.
The shocker, even the goal was a piece of nonsense.
Aye, but Lafferty is ticking away there. It's 2 or 3 goals in the last few weeks.
When he plays up front, when he plays centre forward, he's a different character.
I think they played him wide at first.
They were playing him wide left, having Gonzalez up front on his own, who started off well at Hearts, and he's beginning to kind of fade a wee bit.
He's got good kind of physicality about him, and he is a good finisher.
He kind of swapped the two around.
Yeah,
maybe work a wee bit.
I'm sure Galvez was he was definitely a central midfielder back in his Dundee United / Hearts days way back when.
St Mirren.
Maybe St Mirren, I don't know. He's been about. But they of course play Hibernian at Easter Road.
Indeed.
Big Edinburgh derby. Do you think a game like that could benefit from being played at somewhere like Murrayfield?
Oh well, That's a good question.
It's just because, 19,000 at a Hearts St Johnstone game. Would that have happened at Tynecastle? I don't think so. So it brings a kind of air of specialness to...
I mean, you're looking at, it must be a crowd of, about 22,000 for this Hibs Hearts game at Easter Road, which is a really good crowd. And it'll be likewise once Tynecastle's actually finished.
Absolutely.
Which might be happening, but 2019, 2020.
Yeah, it keeps being pushed back. Apparently they've got a plan B in place, so...
Murrayfield again.
I don't know. Murrayfield must be costing them...
a fortune.
Because
the thing is, though, they've got about 14,500 Rangers fans coming on Saturday.
But say, right, 19,000 against St Johnstone, does that pay to hire out a 65,000 seat stadium? I don't know if it would.
No, and the fact that Hibs weren't playing at home that weekend...
But that's just sacrilege, isn't it?
I mean, Hibs have played cup semi-finals at Tynecastle, this kind of stuff. As a kind of cost-benefit...
You might have to think about it.
Hit, But then again, Tynecastle, playing at Murrayfield's it attracts that extra few thousand fans.
It does.
Because it attracted us to the game.
I think 24, 25 there that day.
When you're looking at for this game against Rangers coming up next Saturday, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the crowd's somewhere between 35 and 40,000.
Oh, easily.
Considering the amount of tickets the Rangers have sold for their end. Neutrals, shall we say?
All right, yes.
And Hearts fans.
Yes.
Who'll be going to that game, so there'll be a tasty crowd, tasty atmosphere.
I think you just let in as many Rangers fans, take their money.
To be honest, I wish I was going.
It will be, but my thing was, the Murrayfield games, that St Johnstone game wasn't that great the day, and the Aberdeen game was interesting, but maybe not a classic.
It wasn't a classic by any stretch. Probably the only 0-0 ever to happen at Murrayfield, but
quite possibly, yes, quite possibly.
In any competition. So, but no, it'd be good just to kind of find yourself a quiet wee corner at Murrayfield and watch the absolute carnage.
Yeah, you get some good kind of tifos footage and stuff almost.
It'll be really good. Like I say, I'm jealous of my God. But
so, what do we think for the derby next week? Because the teams are both quite evenly matched at the moment. I think in terms of points, Hearts probably with more form. I think 3 victories in as many weeks.
Aye,
narrow victories, mind you, though.
They've effectively won, I think it's like 8 games away from home.
I know, it's just
like technically being at Murrayfield, but away from home.
Yes, and they're not exactly training on that pitch. I don't think.
Hibs, they're kind of up and down. You never know what to really expect. I think you'll get a decent performance out of them, but there's always that Hibs mentality creeping back in again.
There's a spark kind of missing. And yes, John McGinn's fantastic from midfield, but I think at times
they rely too much on the guy.
I know, and I think Stokes and things look a bit lethargic. He's not a prime player at the top of his game anymore. And there's some interesting guys coming through, like Ollie Shaw looks like a good striker, and the boy Barker at the weekend just has burning pace to storm by most people. But yeah, it's just that last bit. And the Lithuanian boy, not Velichka,
name's
Slavska.
It's an unpronounceable name. I don't want to embarrass
myself.
But
he's looked a bit meh as well. He's not really.
He was supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread, but it's not quite worked out.
It's not fired on for him, and they looked much better when he came off. I think at the weekend. So.
He's the kind of the new Grant Holt. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if it's a score draw at the weekend, midweek.
We'll wait and see. And then the next big game is Aberdeen against Celtic at Pittodrie. The big top of the table tie, both on level points. I think this.
So this is a title 6-pointer.
Yes, there was. It must have been 2 years ago now, where it was a similar situation at Pittodrie. Aberdeen beat them. Went ahead and then bottled the next 3 or 4 games and lost the league essentially on that. So this is a big game.
Was there a Johnny Hayes absolute wonder striking amongst all that as well, if I remember right?
I think so. Watch that James Maddison free kick against Rangers that day. He is scoring some immense goals for Norwich right now.
He is.
So he could be one to watch for in the future there, guys.
Do you reckon you'll actually win? Or a draw is probably what you're aiming for?
See, for me, that Aberdeen's team still isn't fully sorted. And they've not... To beat Celtic, I think you really need to be beating teams convincingly week in, week out. And not playing at the weekend, I think, could be a disadvantage.
Perhaps. But then again, that's why Celtic played 4 games in as many...
I know, but it's Celtic. These guys...
And they have the squad rotation as well. They could put their under-20s and it would give them a good game.
Exactly. These guys are fit as a fiddle. Again, didn't look like they blinked at the weekend. So guys will have to be really on the top of their game. I like what they've done now, and they've gone with kind of Rooney and then May playing as a wider player. I think that probably works slightly better.
You want to fit the both of them in, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Mackay-Steven and things playing better. Christie's maybe not been shouting so much in recent weeks, but then the defence, you need to have a very, very strong defence to contain Celtic. And, the young boy McKenna's come in and done well, but, with Moussa Dembele or the pace of Lee Griffiths, Carrie Arneson's not going to...
No, really try back.
No.
And you're looking at Considine will be up against...
Sinclair or...
Maybe Sinclair, probably Roberts.
Could be cruel and play Hayes. They could be.
Well, there's every chance. I mean, that's just the thing about that Celtic squad. I mean, you've got guys like, remember Liam Henderson?
Yeah, I know.
Who must be kicking about somewhere.
Well, you've got Liam Henderson, you've got like Aidan Nesbitt, and teams that Premiership clubs would be biting their hand off for, just bumming about.
Absolutely, they've got so much depth and reasonably good quality as well.
That was one thing I did see at the weekend at half time at the Falkirk St Mirren game. Jamie Langfield is the goalkeeping coach for St Mirren. Lee Miller, Falkirk substitute, was out warming up, and they were sitting chatting, and I had a wee tear in my eye because I was like, that was my European team from and we shared some pictures the other day on the Sofamanager Instagram of the last team to play Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena was Aberdeen.
Aye.
And it was amazing. It's pictures. You should go and look at it if you haven't already at Sofamanager of Andrew Considine tackling Lukas Podolski and Miroslav Klose. And what you didn't see in that picture actually was Bastian Schweinsteiger
in the background.
Aye, well, Jamie Langfield. And I believe Steve Lovell's claim to fame was he was the last British man to score against Oliver Kahn in what was a 5-1 defeat. Yeah. So it was a wee tear to my eye because I was just like, I wanted to go down and take a picture of the moment almost, just to the old band back together.
It's actually maybe they got the sake.
Well, I know. God, can you imagine the photograph, the selfie I would have got? As a diehard Falkirk fan, of course.
Aye.
So no, that was nice to see. So we'll wait and see. I don't hold out much hope for Aberdeen because Celtic are on such a run.
Aye, scintillating.
I just want this illusion to be shattered. This undefeated domestically, because let's face it, it's a rubbish record. If you're going out and being beaten pretty comprehensively by Bayern Munich midweek, it doesn't matter anymore almost, does it?
Yeah, an actual unbeaten record that came to an end the minute they played Lincoln Red Imps.
Oh my gosh, exactly.
Yeah, so that kind of thing bites the dust.
Doesn't really count. Oh well. So I guess speaking of the likes of Lee Miller, Jamie Langfield and Alan Mabry, one thing we're going to be putting up on the Sofamanager Instagram this week is I've prepared some FIFA icon cards. So these are kind of FIFA players that are kind of legends in this year's game. So we have the likes of Ronaldo, we have the likes of
Ronaldinho, Thierry Henry, some weird Finnish guy.
The old Liverpool bloke.
It's not Anthony Niemi.
It's not Antoine Niemi. But we were speaking earlier about, because we want to put Scottish legends and kind of put them together. And John was suggesting that we put a Scotland flag next to Antoine Niemi to kind of resurrect that famous radio moment.
Aye, glorious.
Of why don't we pick him for Scotland? So no, I mean, who would you like to see? Because the ones I've picked so far are basically the pundits we have in Scotland. Yeah,
you pitched me this afternoon, so I've had a couple of hours to kind of think about it. Mm-hmm. So I picked it from generation the last time watching Scotland as a national team.
So kind of late 90s, early 2000s?
Mid 2000s.
Okay, yeah.
So the real standout was Barry Ferguson.
Even with the two fingers up to the...
I don't care. I blame George Burley for that. Mm-hmm. But you're looking at him, James McFadden, for everything he's done. He had 85 long shot, but he's good quality. Beyond that, David Marshall was always a standout goalkeeper. Some good moments there. Even local, I would have a Russell Lappy card.
Russell Lappy for Falkirk if they were in the game.
A Trinidad card. That kind of thing as well. It's just nice to kind of look back.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of how well do we think they'd compare to the current icons, such as, Ronaldo, Diego Maradona and Pele.
But you could do, there's a difference between, if you wanted a Scottish football, who's played in Scotland, and you would have your icon card. You have a Scotland national, because you would even be looking at guys like Gaza.
But is he a Rangers legend?
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah. A lot of fantastic stories coming out about him from Ali McCoist of late, I've been saying, kind of.
I mean, we'll look at, because like the Old Firm are the real ones that they always kind of stand out. And even like Dundee having some weird and wonderful Argentinian players.
Oh,
that
aye.
kind of thing as well. So you'd have, Larson for sure.
Yeah, well, Larson's in the game as an icon, though, isn't he? Yes, he is.
I'm sure, because I've only seen the Thierry Henry ones.
No, Larson's in the game as an
The
icon.
ex kind of Barcelona types.
I mean, the ones that stand out for me would be the really old ones, like the kind of Lisbon team. So your kind of Jinky Johnstons and...
if you were to go that far back, you would definitely have Dennis Law, which I think is the only Scottish player to win the Ballon d'Or, or the equivalent to the Ballon d'Or.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
1958.
Well, you'd probably have Dennis Law, you'd probably have Gordon Strachan.
Aye.
For who would be the question?
Aye, well, Aberdeen probably, for what he did there.
But he came on as a sub, I think, in the 83 final.
Souness.
For Rangers.
You would definitely have. Kenny Dalglish you would have as a Liverpool card.
Yes, you would, I would agree with that.
Mo Johnston.
For...
He's got a half and half scarf.
You could have different cards.
Aye.
One Rangers, one Celtic. I think there's loads there.
But you got all that, you could go so far back if you wanted to. Even like, if you looked at like an English route, you'd have definitely Terry Butcher.
Yeah.
I think Sheringham must have a card at some point.
I think he has had a legend card in like recent history.
I'm sure Shearer's got one.
Yeah, I think for me, like, putting together these icon cards, and I would love to hear.
Aye, what's the kind of...
Well, who's the icon for your club? I think the prerequisite is if they take that minimum amount of money, the EA are actually offering them to be in the game.
Well, see, do you offer like Pirlo one now because he's retiring?
He'll get a special like inform. I remember Podolski, I think, got like his old stats back.
Totti got that, I'm sure.
I think Totti got that too.
So
yeah,
off like 1 million coins. So I was devastated.
Oh, well, there's some absolutely bonkers. I don't know how people get so many coins in the game. It's utterly bizarre.
They're far better than us, that's for sure. Far better than me.
Well, career mode. Sticking with it. I love watching it, and I love seeing people open packs and stuff like that. But yeah,
the thrill, that's brilliant. But
for me myself, nah.
Icon wise, it's just ridiculous.
I don't think we'll ever get near them in reality, which is why I think Scottish ones would be good, because like
they'd be quite good. I mean, they would only be like silver rated, but they'd be nice.
I wish there was a bit more of, because I love putting together like Scottish teams and just kind of getting through the offline divisions with like the silver teams and stuff.
Aye.
And but then when you go and play like a silver cup or something like that, no one's ever playing with silver teams. No, so the Scottish players are basically nil and void.
Everything below like rare gold players are a complete and utter irrelevance to that game.
Yeah. I wish there was just a bit more of
there has to be a broader spectrum to it.
Yeah, more of a culture with more rubbish players, because I don't use the skills and all like that. I could use a bronze team and I'd be just as good, effectively. Well, just as bad. Well, that's the fun thing though. Like, I picked it up the other day playing as Hamilton, and the shooting's awful. But I'm thinking, this is great. This is exactly how Hamilton play at the weekend. But it'd be Abbey can't score for the life of him. So very, very realistic. So if anyone wants a wee challenge, we'll maybe challenge some of the listeners later on in the year to absolutely drub us into the ground on FIFA.
Yes, dip on discus
very, very talented players out there. And follow the Instagram page next week, because there are some interesting cards going up and some interesting chemistry modifiers as well.
Indeed.
So stay lookout for them. Also, our Twitter feed and the website, John. Anything exciting coming up on the website this week?
Well, we've been that's us at the quarter stage now. Pretty much every league, actually. Premiership as well, I think, after Tuesday. So there'll be quarterly reviews. It's much, much easier than doing weekly stuff. I'm not going to lie. But beyond that, maybe have a look at the merry-go-round in manager leagues. That's always curious to know. A few stuff about Paul Hartley and that. I had a rant about modern football as well.
Oh, good.
I've seen that half and half scarf like AC and Inter, which still bugs the crap out of me.
I thought it was very reasonably priced. It was only like 15 quid or something, wasn't it?
15 quid to strangle you about, like.
Well, I don't know.
That was awful. And then the Man United Liverpool stuff, that really got my goat. That took it to a new level.
Yeah. Spoke about that in last week's podcast, which you can also find at www.sofamanager.com.
Episode 33.
Check that out. Yes.
We're doing well.
We are. We're going to try and be more weekly as well, if you are enjoying things. And yeah, any comments or anything, just leave it down there. Anything we've got wrong.
North Stand Rising, if you're listening. By all means, drop us a line. Let us know. Has John Baird scored yet?
I saw him celebrating at the weekend. It looks like him and his pal were doing a wee merry-go-round. But yeah, we had some back and forth, I think, earlier this week with an Inverness Cali fan. So long may that continue.
I look forward to your response.
Long may that continue, exactly. We're not going over the championship this week, but there's not much to go over.
Nah, that's not worth the time and effort.
Yes. Well, we got panned last week for being too negative about it.
It's rubbish.
Especially Inverness, though. Like, Inverness are a really dreich team to watch.
And, how bad are Dundee United, though, to get beat off Inverness?
Oh, I mean, well, that's why Ray McKinnon got sacked. Because
right.
How can we get beaten by Inverness?
Shocking.
It's utterly bizarre. Anywho, I think to round off, as we usually do, in another place you can check these, actually, as the Sofamanager website, is our predicciones. How did we do last week, John?
You did terribly. I did a little bit better, but not by much.
Terrible.
We actually got the inverse of the Rangers Motherwell. You for a 2-0 Rangers win.
I mean, it was, but then I put on the Instagram poll today that I thought Motherwell would win.
Well,
and I was like, so I had a change of heart sometime during the week.
Fans are fickle. I did go for a 1-0 Motherwell win, so that's 2 points to me.
Ooh.
I then had a 2-0 win for Celtic over Hibs, which finished 4-2. You had a 3-2 for Hibs.
See, I was in the right ballpark. I was just wrong. I had to be optimistic.
They completely blew the Falkirk St Mirren game. I finished nothing each.
I can give you a good prediction for the Falkirk game this week, though.
You went for a 0-1. I went for a 2-1 Falkirk win. So I don't know what I was smoking that day.
It was bizarre.
We both went for 2-1 in the Hearts and Joyston, which finished 1-0 to Hearts.
Got the margin right, but
we did, and again we completely up the Dunfermline Livingston game.
Well, that was.
You went for a 1 each draw. I went for a 1-0 Livy win.
Both of them wrong.
Dunfermline proceeded to win 3-1.
But bear in mind, at the top of the show, Livingston were the 10th best team in Europe at the time.
They were the form teams. What we've done there is just pull out 2 numbers from a hat. That'll do.
Well, I was statistically closer, but both still wrong.
Yeah, so still at 6 points to me, 2 to you.
So what are our games this week, John?
This week we're kicking off with Hearts versus Rangers at Murrayfield.
Oh my dear goodness!
What a game!
Because Murrayfield's not exactly been a goal fest.
Yes.
This season. I'd have to go for 4-4. No, not 4-4. I think. Do you know what? Right, statistics would tell me that Hearts are going to win by a goal margin.
Yes.
However, that was my logic between my Livingston guess last week. So statistics don't help. And again, this came up on Super 6 the other week when Man City won 7-2.
Aye.
And I think 4 people guessed that would happen. And you're like, how? Who out there has thought?
Why did that happen?
Utterly bizarre. So I think for me, 1-0 Hearts again.
1-0 Hearts.
I mean, I don't know.
The biggest thing about that is who will be manager.
Well,
and
will they be feeling down after?
Exactly.
It also depends what happens in the middle of the week as well, because we've recorded before
the
big derbies.
Hearts could have had 4 men sent off.
I know.
Game abandoned. That's a really tough game. I don't know why I picked that.
Make it easy for us, John.
I'm actually going to go for a 2-0 Hearts win. Rangers can't score. See, when you watch Morelos, I keep on going back over the same ground, but he just couldn't score. And I think Hearts look alright at the back, so 2-0 to the Jambos.
Okay.
Next up is Motherwell versus Hibs, which is by no means any easier.
I think Hibs. Is it at Hibs?
No, it's at Motherwell.
I think Hibs to take it 2-1. Again, it totally depends on the midweek. It doesn't depend on the midweek. Who knows? Who knows?
I'm going to go for a 3-1 Motherwell win.
Oh yeah.
I can see it.
Oh yeah.
Motherwell are flying.
Yeah, but it has to come to a halt sometime. What's our next game?
It's an Renfrew derby, St Mirren versus Morton.
I think St Mirren will take that 2-0.
2-0.
2-0. Amazing fan base at the weekend, actually. They have to be credited Usually quite a noisy bunch.
Morton did win the reverse fixture at the beginning of the season, but kind of tailed off a little bit.
Got beat the weekend by Dumbarton.
Did Jim Duffy's no doing quite as well as folk were saying. I would tend to agree with you, but for difference's sake, I'm going to go for a 3-0 St Mirren.
Okay, I thought you were going to say like a draw or something.
No. The next one is Inverness versus Dunfermline.
I'll let you guess first.
Thanks very much. I'm actually going to. I fancy Dunfermline to kind of come back a wee bit, so it'll be a 0-1
to Dunfermline.
St Mirren have had their purple patch.
I think Dunfermline will beat Inverness 8-0. I think they're that rotten, honestly, I do. No, seriously though.
That North Star will be falling.
We should set up a parody account. That's your job for next week, John, is to set up a North Stand falling, and it's just nothing but abuse aimed at Inverness fans. Ross County fans will love it. They'll be right on the back of that. I think Dunfermline 2-1.
2-1.
But then, Inverness, well, we'll see.
The next one's actually a wee bit of derby as well. It's Stirling versus Steny. These two are in the top of League 2.
And the Stirlingshire derby. Is it at Steny?
Is it Stirling?
At Stirling.
It's at Forcebank.
Stirling to win 2-0.
2-0.
Because Stirling have just been choring through. I think a bit of a setback at the weekend, but I can't remember.
I'm looking for an epic 5-3.
What?
To Stirling.
What?
Yeah,
you mad, bro? I watched, I think, the end of Hellas Verona versus Chievo Verona today.
Oh, as you do, yeah.
And it was, well, I know, but it was 4-2. Well, I saw it. I was like flicking through. I was like, Bundesliga, some randoms. And then it was like Verona versus Verona.
Derby.
Cheeky wee Romeo and Juliet, Capulet v Montague sort of game. Really good, actually. It's a 4-2 there, so we will wait and see. But I think that just about brings us to our end this week, doesn't it? So thank you very much for joining me, John, owner of North Stand Falling and Sofamanager.com.
North Stand Falling, South Stand Right.
Yes, so check us out there. And thank you very much for me, Paul, for listening. And as usual, have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning.
Hey.
See you soon. Bye-bye.